Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sleegi here with ESPN Esports. I've got Kassio with me for an interview. Kassio, a member of Top Blokes. And Kassio, I just wanted to jump straight into this. Coming into this first regional, did you and your team have any sort of set expectations for how you wanted to perform coming in?
Hi, Sleegi. We did have some expectation about the first regional. Our main target was to make top 8 at the first tournament, knowing all the different teams fighting against, and they all had some different rosters, so we didn't exactly knew what to expect from them, and there could have been some upsets about it. And we done like top 2, so we were like really surprised and amazed about that, about our performance.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's excellent, especially if you're coming in with the expectation of making top 8 and then having a run all the way into the finals in your first regional definitely bodes well. But speaking of the sort of upsets and things that we saw in that first regional, it sort of speaks to this new format and how teams can come in and sort of make some noise. And I wanted to find out, what are your thoughts in general on this new format in RLCSX?
Yeah, the new format is pretty open. Everyone can play about it. Like if there is like 3 new star player that prodigy that are gonna play together and are gonna like make results week after week, they could like manage to qualify to LAN to World Championship. It's great as well because the fact it's pretty open make a new light on a lot of players that didn't had the success before and were deserving it, in my opinion. The format is great as well because it's make it like really long and you have to be consistent. It reward the team that's gonna be consistent. And there is a lot more tournament than before. It's not like based on like a week or 2 week performances, where before it could like define your season if you had like a pretty good week in a double header or if you had a bad one. As well as a pro player, before, if you were getting kicked from your team, you will be in trouble because you wouldn't have a spot anymore. And now you can still compete after that. Like it's not the end of the world if you're like changing your team or kicking someone. Like it's more flexible, and that's what I appreciate from the format.
Yeah, no, definitely. It adds a lot more variance, I think, talking about like the consistency as well. Because
Yeah.
with so many extra games, especially compared to the league play system before, it sort of forces you to play well in every single game that you're in. And with something like that, like you have the regionals with RLCSX, but then you also have the grid. And how
Yeah.
big of an importance does it play on you and your team, sort of comparing it with the regionals and trying to balance all of these games happening at once?
For the moment, we take there is the field, the grid, and the regionals. The field is like straight up practice, like as scrims basically before. So if we lose on the field, it's like not big deal, and we tend to put it more as a practice and to learn from it. The green definitely is like already like way more important than the field. There's like the points that you're making can make you qualify for the major. So if there is some team that's like struggling in regional, then they can definitely qualify through the grid. As well, it's like the best part where you can like adjust before like a big tournament like regional and major, where you can like really see how the team are playing under pressure, because there is some. Um, and as well, yes, that's kind of it. And in the regional, then you need like to perform at all, because if you don't perform there, you may not qualify to LAN at the end of the season. Uh, it's um, it's pretty important. And as well, the point that you're making from the grid, like there's 30% of the point that
Mhm.
get into your seeding. And seeding in Rocket League and in every esport tournament is like pretty important. It makes you like having an easier run to make like semi-final or like quarterfinal. And at the end of the day, sometimes seeding make you more confident as well and make you get further far than if you would have a bad one.
Yeah, no, definitely seating plays a big role in that. It's just it's interesting, right? Because there's all these different games happening at once, and I know
Yeah,
some of the fans are they're getting a little overwhelmed. So I imagine as a
yeah,
player, it has that sort of similar aspect. But to sort of touch on something you were mentioning earlier with the sort of different rosters that we're seeing teams coming in, what's one of the team in EU specifically that you would say you're looking at as one of those teams to beat, or just a team in general that you guys are kind of keeping your eyes on as one of the potential teams that you need to really be on the lookout for?
For the moment, it's been BDS Esports. We lose, I think, 3 or 4 times against them. We didn't beat them at any time for the moment. It was quite close on the final of the regional and yesterday on the grid. They are getting better and better every time we play them, and we are as well. I think for the moment they are like top 2 in Europe, and I think that's the good target to be able to knock out. Like if we are able to match them, then I have no doubt we'll be able like to win some regionals and even like qualifying to LAN later if it's keeping like that basically.
Yeah, and I know they definitely turned some heads with their performance in that first
Yeah.
regional as well. But on the other side of the pond as well, I wanted to get your thoughts of, are there any NA teams that essential as well that you're sort of looking at? Because with all these regionals, they'll be very close knit with the EU community, but then going into those international majors, I imagine you have to have some
Yeah.
thoughts of the potential NA teams you might run
Yeah.
into.
For the moment, it's a bit tricky. I don't have a really good idea on the level on if Europe has gone better than NA or if NA is actually better or if it's pretty stacked. NA has been pretty inconsistent the past season, except for Energy and Space Station, in my opinion. You could see like top team like Cloud9 and G2 like going from being like third and fourth in the world to not qualifying and even like close to being relegated. Now there's been like new teams or new player coming out in NA, and I think NA is pretty strong. I particularly look out like as always for Energy, but I think that the Envy roster with Turbo Pulsar now is pretty scary with Mist and Atomic. And I look out for them, and I think in an international major it's gonna be like pretty south. And yeah, I think like it's pretty stacked for the moment.
Yeah, no, I think as especially with this new format and the introduction of a lot of new
Yeah.
teams, it's really pushing everybody to that next level. The last question I'll really have for you is, with this first regional behind you, you've got a little bit of break in between. Is there anything specifically that you guys are trying to do to prepare for the second regional? I mean, with the grid still happening in between, like, is there anything specifically that you guys are trying to work on as a team to make sure that you can continue that sort of performance all the way out throughout this split?
Throughout the split, we are gonna try and even before the next regional to put on the gameplay like a lot of more pressure and like not let the teammate the team opponent kind of breath like it's like something we kind of like when we put a lot of pressure on the other team, like definitely we have a really good offense and we are able to score, to create offense and to keep the pressure. But the problem is like against like some team like BDS or Vitality, if you can't create the initial pressure long enough, then you won't be able to score, as they are a pretty good defense and that kind of skills. Um, as well, in terms of mentality wise, Archie is a new young player, so we can try like we will try to get him like getting less effect with like stress, because he can be affected with stress sometimes, with frustration, because he never really play in that kind of tension and experience. So the first time, like when you're appearing in the pro scene, then it's pretty frustrating to have like 50k people like watching you losing and like commentating about it and everything. So we're gonna try like to work on the gameplay, on like the pressure side and that, and then in the mentally like to always like stay focused whatever is happening. If we're in a bad day, then we do with it, we like try to still focus and keep strong and everything. And I think then if we arrive to get those two objectives like better, then I'm pretty sure we do pretty well in the next region.
Yeah, no, and that's actually a really fair point. I think a lot of people don't think about the fact that, as players, you do have that in the back of your head that
Yeah.
that many people are watching. You're in front of all these people, that they're going to be making thoughts and stuff. So, no, I think preparing for the pressure is definitely one of the top things I think any
Yeah.
team, especially these newer ones coming in, can do. But I mean, I know I'm excited to see how Top Blokes continues to perform as the splits go along. Their performance in that first regional definitely garnered a lot of attention. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think moving forward, we'll just be watching and hoping to see more out of the future. But thanks for sitting down with me today. Before we sign off, was there anything else you wanted to say?
I want to say like thank you to every fan that we have, to everyone supporting us and even watching us, or like just yeah, like thank you guys a lot. That means a lot, and it helps us every day to work even more better and harder, and to get our objective done.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again for sitting down with me, Kassio. That's going to be it for this interview on ESPN. My name's been Sleegi, and we'll catch you again on the next one.